Okay, it's Monday, the 8th of June 2020. My name's Phil Weimer, and this is the all-new edition of Badly Written News, using current affairs and college news to develop your English, maths, and mindset. Okay, so let's start with college news. For those of you still at college or studying college online, as we are at the moment, you've now got 3 weeks left. I know some courses have finished. June the 9th, so you finish on the 26th, so you really do need to make sure you get your work done. June the 19th is the internal progression deadline for those moving out of areas. So, for example, in ESOL, where I'm working, by that date, you will know whether you've been accepted onto construction or business or sport, and hopefully most of you will be. Remember to develop your online skills. Those of you staying in ESOL, again, the area I work a lot in, we are looking to see whether students are doing the work and whether they're doing engaging with Google Classroom and so on, because let's be honest, that's where we're going to be at the beginning of next academic year in September. We are not going to be all back in college in a normal setting. We don't quite know how that is next. So there's going to be a lot more of online learning. So when are we back at college? Well, the easiest way to find out is to search Chefcol. It's updated every single time, every day pretty much. And you'll know, for anyone who's been on there, that nobody's going back into college. No students or staff are going back into college until it's safe. And there are only a certain few students who are going back in who have to do various practical exams. But check the website for details. Do not rely on hearsay or what teachers say. Go on the website, and it is really good. And the college communication with you has been pretty good up until now, I think. Okay, so there are developing your own online skills. Do you have a smartphone? Do you have an opinion? Have you got something to say? I'm sure the answer to all three of those questions is yes. So what we'd like you to do is we'd like you to download Google Classroom. We'd like to use the stream on that to talk, just like you do on WhatsApp or all other social media. And we'd like you to have a conversation with your tutor and your classmates on Google Meet. If you can do those three things when you come back in September, you will be well equipped to do your work, and you'll find it's really helpful and good fun as well. Oh, there are 3 errors in the writing up here. Can you spot them? Can you spot them? There are 3 mistakes that I've made. You may have got it or you may not. The answer is, do you have a smartphone? Should have a question mark. Do you have an opinion? Should have a question mark. And have you got something to say? Should have a question mark. It is a really common mistake in GCSE functional and functional skills for people to miss out question marks. So watch out for question marks. Okay, there are 2 errors in the text this time. See if you can spot them while I'm going through what this is very briefly. This is Kooth. This is an online support website that you can access 365 days a year. It is free for you. You do not have to speak to a person face to face. You do it by text. There are tutorial resources and you can use it right now. So the college has paid some money to Kooth, and I've been on an introduction to it. It's a really, really good site that's really well used. So if you need to talk to someone, if you've got issues you want to talk about, or if you just want to have a look at some engaging, fun stuff to do about mindset and various other activities, register with Kooth. Go on the website, not an app. Go on the website, register. You get your own registration names. We know nothing about it. It's totally confidential. You have access to counsellors if you want, or there's access to other fun stuff as well. So really, especially again, going back to the area I work in, we would like you all to register for Kooth. So go and register on Kooth. This is a website. Looks like there's an error there. There should be an E on the website that offers free advice and support. There's no full stop. There's your mistakes on that one. Bit slicker, that one, I think. Okay, next thing I want to warn you about is to give you a warning, really. One of the teachers in our department had a really, really frightening experience where people who sounded credible, had, all sounded like really like they were the real thing, phoned her up claiming to be the HMRC, the tax office, and she was worried and really upset and spent a lot of time. And that's a teacher who's got a lot of experience with these things. There are fake lot of fake sites and a lot of fake texts going around. You're not going to win a free iPhone. You're not going to get money back from Tesco. You're not going to get a refund on your taxes, or you get a car. So tell your friends, tell your family. All of these examples here are really common at the moment, and you've got to be careful. There's a lot of people out there to try and exploit you. So what are the two areas above? Beware of online fraud. One of our teacher have a really bad experience. So one of our teachers, and is it hava or hadda, had a really bad experience. The two mistakes are there are teachers and have. Okay, moving on. Not very good at stopping this quickly. I will get better. Ooh. No, oh my life, it's not playing. Lost me. Oh. There we go. Okay, this is another worrying thing. Someone within our department, the Department of FO4, has got coronavirus. There have also been a couple of members of staff have had it. The regulations are still in place about social distancing. If you look at the diagram there about what the effect of people not socially distancing and meeting into each other, you can see 406 people as opposed to 15 people. So the rule is up to 6 people, 2 meters apart, and be outdoors. And we are getting reports of students on social media that are breaking that rule, that are going on public transport and risking people's lives and so on. You are less likely to get ill, but you could pass it on to someone. And especially in the Black and ethnic minority population, there are a lot of deaths. And you could walk around, go on a bus, meet your friends, get a mild version or no asymptomatic version of the disease, and give it to someone. And there are the people, the coffins, and there are the people who could die. We've got a member of staff, and there are many members of staff who is vulnerable herself and lives with people who are very vulnerable. If you pass that on to her, she could end up dead, and he could end up dead. So please, please, please obey the rules. They're there for a reason. All right then. Thank you. Okay, so this is the news. This is end of last week's news. And you've got the headlines from various papers. And remember, the papers have got different political ideas behind them. So you might want to have a look at the headlines or go on Paperboy, Paperboy is a website that gives you access to all the front pages for any given day. And it's really, really helpful. So before I go through very quickly and do it, you might, as a tutor, want to pause this, or as a student, want to pause it and have a look and see if you can work out what each one of these is saying. Okay, so extra penny on tax to fix care crisis. We know we've got a crisis in care homes. They haven't got enough money. It's been something that the government has not dealt with, because the big issue is who pays to look after the elderly, and politically they've been worried about if they tax the rich, that would be seen as unpopular, the Conservatives think. But there's a lot of money that is needed, so they've got to find it from somewhere. So what they're talking about is possibly putting income tax up that everybody pays, won't buy a little bit, to make sure that everybody who's old gets looked after, and that would be pretty popular, I guess. Save our summer holidays. The government have said, well, much later than everywhere else, by the way, that people who come back into this country should self-isolate. They're looking like they may change their mind on that and say that people don't have to do that. So that might mean that some people who are going on abroad in July might still be able to go. But of course, it depends where they're going, and it depends on the other country saying, yes, we'll let you in. Testing confusion. When are they going to roll out the tests, the mobile phone tests? There's still a month off, test and trace and so on. And then the big one is with Donald Trump and the death that we talked about last week of George Floyd, and he sent in the troops to push back protesters who were peacefully protesting away from a church, and then he walked out to that church, held up a Bible, and he has still not made the speech to try and bring America together, and he's still causing a lot of division. Although what you've got to remember is 40% of Americans still like what he does and how he does it. The Independent headline is saying, why did the NHS send people with coronavirus or not test people for coronavirus into care homes, which is where most of the deaths from coronavirus have happened? Okay, there's some one of the big issues that's been come up in America, and why Trump and others are there's a big debate going on about Black Lives Mattering, is there's a huge issue between how the police and how the prison system in America treats black people, and you can see that by the numbers. If you do the three maths questions 1, 2, and 3, you will get a feeling for how big the problem is of in America. And you'll find a similar. It's similar in the UK. It's not as bad in the UK, but there is a trend as well. The answers are just behind me, so I'm going to move in a second. I'm going to count to 5, and I'm going to move back, and I'm going to give you the answer. So if you want to pause the video now, you can do the maths questions, and I'm going. If not, and if you've done them, I'm going to move and show you the answers. Okay. So here are the answers. Answer 1, 34%. Okay. Answer 2, 816,000, and answer 3, 4,080,000. Okay, 4,080,000. So that would be well, you've just done the questions. I won't bore you with that. Okay. And finally, this is if you go on to now, instead of having a link, a hyperlink, what I'm suggesting, if you put on YouTube Muhammad Ali Parkinson White, you get this really funny, really powerful speech from Muhammad Ali about how language reinforces prejudice. He did it in 1971, just after he was an Olympic champion. It is well worth spending 4 minutes because he was a really entertaining person. He was also, friends, last week we did about Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King advocated peaceful protest. He was assassinated in 1968. The picture to my right is of him meeting Malcolm X, who had a much more different approach to this, and wanted more direct action and more. Well, if you read up on Malcolm X, it's interesting. So I really would recommend watching the Muhammad Ali on Parkinson, and I would really recommend looking into Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. This is all set against the background of the issues in America around race and the prison population. Okay, and the final point. Okay, and finally, mindset, the last piece of the Badly Written Online News. And this week's featured video is called "How I Trick My Brain to Like Doing Hard Things: Dopamine Detox." Really good YouTube video from a guy who shows you how you can change your habits and make things and do things that are healthier for you, and talks about dopamine. Dopamine's really interesting. So I would recommend, for your mindset, if you have peace of mind, to have a look at that website. Okay, hope you enjoyed this week's Badly Written News, and I will see you soon.